Recording in progress.
Good morning and welcome to this week's Weber County Commission meeting. We have a full board of commissioners with Commissioner Sharon Bolus seated immediately to my right, Commissioner Gage Forrest seated to my left. I'm Commissioner Harvey. Our agenda will proceed as follows. The Pledge of Allegiance this morning will be led by Ashley Tolman. Our invocation will be given by Craig Brandt, and then I'll give us the thought of the day. We'll go to that point. Go ahead, Ash. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we thank Thee for this opportunity to have as members of this community to gather and be a part of this commission meeting. Father, we ask Thy Spirit to be with us, that decisions that are made will be made with wisdom and with patience, and that we'll be able to land upon those decisions that are the best for the citizens of this county. We're grateful for this county family and pray for those who are in need and those who are without, that they will have that which they stand in need of. We thank Thee for the opportunities we have to serve, and we're grateful for this community, Father, and pray that as we go forward, that we can do so in step with one another. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Brandt. Mr. Tolman, appreciate that. Commissioners, we're honored today to have our congressional representative, Congressman Blake Moore, with us. Mr. Moore, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. And Lisa Ross Kelly, we're glad that you've joined us also. Thank you. You know, I don't always do this, and I don't even know if it's appropriate. I've made mistakes before. Lots of them.
Won't be your first.
And Commissioner or Congressman, you're welcome to join us on the dais if you'd so like. Or if you'd like to sit where it doesn't matter, but you're welcome to join us up either place.
Good luck to you. When I walked in, you stood up. I thought you were standing up for me, but it was the right spot to stand up for.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Well, we're going to go now to the thought of the day, which I've got. And, you know, Nelson Mandela, he said it always seems impossible until it's done. I thought, wow, that's pretty good. There are a lot of things that you get up or the things that's impossible. I had a wise guy tell me, not a wise guy. An acquaintance of mine tell me once, you know, he says, the difficult takes a while. The impossible takes just a little longer. That's another good one. But speaking of that, I kind of want to conclude, you know, as we have tasks in our life, whether they're home tasks, work tasks, church tasks, personal tasks, physical fitness tasks. There's a myriad of different things. In our society, or we grow up, you know, we're always taught, you got to win. You got to win the contest. You got to be the first. And, you know, one of the great speed skaters of our time, Bonnie Blair, I want to end with a quote. She says, winning doesn't always mean you're first. Winning means you're doing better than you've done before. And what a wonderful thing to end on. I think as long as we continue improving, that's a good thing. So, Commissioners, that's my little brief thought of the day.
I like it.
Congressman Moore, do you have any pearls you'd like to cast at this time?
Just your typical wise guy. Just your typical wise guy.
Okay, great. Well, as we do frequently, this is an opportunity for those who are in the public. We give 3 minutes to comment on those items that might be found on the agenda. You can address the commission on those items now if you'd like to come to the lectern here now. And please state your name and the city you live in.
Okay. Right here?
Please.
Hi, my name is Leslie Stock, and I live on 24th Street here in Ogden.
I don't use it as my mailing address because the people walking by aren't
Hi, Leslie.
people I feel comfortable with. But anyway,
Go ahead.
so about water issues, let's just address that because, well, I actually bought land up in Huntsville. And I know 2 out of 3 of you, I don't know which ones voted for the development going on up there. Well, what's taking place is the debate over it. But, and I just watched a thing on one of your YouTube videos of a council you guys did before, and it was someone saying about the developers not being able to get water because there's not water. And when you think about it, the earth gives us a lot of snow and water every year here in Utah. And about 10 years ago, it was brought to my attention a thing called earth ships. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but it's using the water from the sky and a garden inside instead of outside. I tried to garden in my rented property because I had space, and I figure with all the destruction of the endangered species, I want to plant flowers for, to help them. But yeah, the grasshoppers were eating them alive, and it's really hard to kill the grasshoppers, and then there's the chemicals. But so that wasn't quite working, the organic stuff. I was trying, but my point is, like, I'm a big advocate for the thought and idea of Mike Reynolds, who created in the 70s the Earth ships, because they're sustainable living. And with more and more people moving to this area, I do realize, one, there's a shortage of jobs now. It's harder for people to get jobs, but the water, same with what's going on with the Great Salt Lake. So to me, it makes sense that we start building more this way. We're not only just chopping down more and more trees, which we're dependent on for our life, but we're using tires and recycled materials, if you ever research them, to build like artistic looking, full of character. But it's also using the water to plant your own food inside. So I just recommend looking into earth ships because I think they're very valuable for future way of living, for sustainability for all people. I know they did it in Puerto Rico after disasters there. They started building that way. So, just instead of draining the lakes and the water underneath, we can start building that way, I think.
Thank you, Leslie, for your comments
Yeah.
today. Appreciate that. And on earth ships, appreciate that very
Yeah.
much.
Just
Sir-
wanted to bring it to your attention.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the audience like to address the commission at this time? Anyone online, Stacy? We'll continue with our agenda this morning then. We'll go to item number F, which is a presentation and a congressional update. Our presenter today will be Congressman Blake Moore. Congressman, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you for your amazing work. It's not easy to be in any type of political role, but the most important is what we do locally. And so thank you for running things so well. Weber County's in a great position, and it doesn't just happen. So thank you. It's truly an honor to serve the home in which I grew up. I grew up in Forest Green, and have had so many awesome opportunities to serve in this role. I'm coming up on, this is my 4th year in this seat. Last fall, I ran begrudgingly for a leadership position in the House Republican Conference and ended up being elected into that leadership role. And I'm also sitting on the Ways and Means Committee. So I'll just briefly share a little bit about those items. But before I do that, I just wanted to highlight one of the most specific things that I do that our team does that directly impacts the work you all are doing and what we have in Weber and Davis counties is the support of Hill Air Force Base. I am not shy about my support of Hill Air Force Base. I never will be. I was not expecting that to be something that political challengers would try to hit me on or whatever, if you will. But it is what it is, and it's something that we've had strong representation for from previous Congressman Rob Bishop, and before that Jim Hansen, and it's just one of those things that you actually can be intimately involved in what's going on locally. And so we're thrilled about it. So we just passed out of the House of Representatives and sent it over to the Senate, the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act, known as the NDAA. Last year's was another very successful year with funding of the various programs for Hill Air Force Base. Hill Air Force Base is the first operational wing of the F-35. It's a 5th generation fighter pilot. And we are the most important, in my opinion, aspect of that entire apparatus. And then for the last 50 years, we've been the nation's sort of central point for our ground-based strategic deterrent. So our nuclear deterrence, that if you look at the history of warfare, the presence of having a strong nuclear deterrence has kept global peace largely. We've had conflict. We have conflict today, but over the past 50 years, we've had a strong ability to, post coming out of World War II, to limit that real threat of just catastrophic life lost. And we're here in Utah, particularly the Hill Air Force Base area, has been a forefront leader in that, and it's an honor to serve in those capacities. So that's the Sentinel program. So full funding for those programs over the last couple years. This year in particular, we have amendments into the NDAA focusing on landing gear consolidation. If you didn't know, and maybe you're already bored of it, the thought of it, but we have a really strong landing gear apparatus here with the surrounding industry. It's an expertise that we have, and we're working on bolstering that up and making sure that we get that back and keeping as much of that operation here in northern Utah as possible. We do it in this area. We do it for less cost, and it's longer sustainability of these products than what other big prime manufacturers can do. Gets me in a little bit of trouble with some of the big manufacturers, but when you look at the outcomes, we have to do things for less cost and improved outcomes. And this is what we do here with landing gear. Locality pay is important. Utah has a higher cost of living, and it's growing, and it's becoming more and more of a burden. And it's impacting who folks that are coming here to serve at Hill Air Force Base, and the how would you call it, the sort of the algorithms, or however they calculate locality pay, doesn't necessarily reflect what the reality is on the ground here in Utah. And so we're trying to change and push on that as much as possible through this legislative process. We also have a significant win in the range of about $30 million of a military construction project. This is outside the normal work that we do, that our team was able to get into this year's appropriations process. And it is for particularly the F-35 and the training fleet that we run a lot of the sustainment on. So we're trying to build out the hangars and the construction for what we're doing. And so that's a significant win. It has not passed yet. It is in the pill. It's in the process. We're comfortable that it's going to see progress there, and we'll keep everybody posted on it. And I think it will be something to definitely watch. And there's a whole bunch of other things. We need to continue the A-10 divestiture. That is not where the fight is going to be going forward. And we've seen this in our military, but we can't continue to hold on to old expensive equipment when we need to be focusing on more cyber warfare and things like that. So there's a real strong push to do that, and we're using this process to do the same. Several other projects, whether it be from the canyon and the trail project up to the airport, across the board, little areas that we can continue to sort of layer in our support. It's with some of the neatest, most fun things that we get to do. Big picture, I'll just mention this. We have all of the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, all of those provisions, except for a handful, actually just one major one with regards to corporate tax rate, all of that expires next year. So if we do nothing in Congress, if we just kind of continue to bicker and not find a way forward on some of these, on some key aspects of our legislative approach, and we've seen a lot of that over the last couple of years. If we continue to do that, there will be a $4.3 trillion tax increase levied on American workers and American families. That is not hyperbole. That is the reality of what takes place. The reason I wanted to be on Ways and Means Committee was because that's where we deal with this particular issue. And so I'm really looking forward to to next year when all of that sort of comes up for renegotiation. It's going to be a very, very busy, big year, and I believe that we should be heavily focused on making sure that we are not taxed to oblivion. We've seen a lot of positive growth. Lower income, middle income Americans have had significant relief that is much needed with regards to the child tax credit and doubling the standard deduction. So all of that stuff is up for renegotiation next year, and I'm looking forward to being a voice on it. I've been put on 3 different tax teams. One is international competitiveness, not really applicable to this meeting today, but in general industry, we don't want to be paying taxes to foreign governments that we should be paying back here to the U.S. So we're working heavily on that. It's usually a pretty bipartisan issue, and we need to continue it to be such. And then community development, and those are things like historical tax credits, which, if anybody hasn't noticed, we've got a pretty darn good one here on historic 25th Street and a lot of the surrounding area. So those will be key aspects, opportunity zones or underserved communities that Republicans came up with a really good plan in 2017. And we need to identify where does it work, where does it need improvement, and we'll go from there. So it's going to be a very busy year next year with regards to tax and making sure that we figure out how to get our deficits reduced. Because if they continue to grow the way they're growing, it'll be a really 10 years out will be an incredibly tough time, and I want to get out as far ahead as possible. So those are just a few local things and big picture nationwide things that we're working on, and just kind of keep my head down and trying to get something done in such a crazy political time. So thank you. I appreciate all the support and involvement, and whenever we need anything from whether it be our county or our cities, there's a constant and quick response from everybody. So I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you, Congressman.
Yield back.
Questions? Commissioner Bowles, comments?
Just a comment. I just appreciate your responsiveness. I know that the county's reached out to your office on numerous occasions for things that we need here, and your staff's always been very responsive to us.
You heard it twice. She said thanks to my team and to my staff, and I
Thank
will
you.
echo that exact same sentiment because they are the responsive ones. And
It's nice
not
to
even
know
as much
someone's
as me.
listening.
Yeah, not even as much me. I get bogged down in a lot of stuff, but my team is very responsive.
They're
as
there
best
for.
we can. So appreciate hearing that. Thanks. I echo those same compliments to my team.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrar, comments?
Yeah, I'd say the same thanks, especially the team. We know your team works very well, and the efforts are put forth for Northern Utah. I just wanted to make a comment. You talked about Hill Air Force Base. I think we all understand the economic benefit that Hill Air Force Base provides for Northern Utah. It's the biggest, and we really depend on the continued success. But as a member of the MITA board, I don't know how much you've been involved with our MITA decisions at the state level, but it allows MITA board to put those private tax dollars back into assets on the base. We continue to see we've got a great relationships with Hill Air Force Base and their governing people out there. But I don't think a lot of people realize that the tax increment, majority of that goes back to the base itself to help provide dollars for projects that probably couldn't come out of Congress on a daily basis. But it also provides local dollars. I mentioned it to Chair Harvey last week's board meeting. We authorized about a $500,000 tax increment for the year to Weber School District, 911, and also the mosquito abatement. Doesn't come to the county, but under the state code we put forth a number of years ago, that goes very directed towards schools, mosquitoes, areas that we would have to fund as the county. Or the people would have to fund, I should say. So it's a great resource. I'd encourage your continued support of that. And obviously that's driven mostly by the state, but any help we can get from the feds would be appreciated.
Absolutely. No, we're lockstep with MITA. They do a great job. It's even, like you said, it's not even areas that we're instigating, but we complement what they're doing. Exactly. So we're not going to be going after the same type of project that they are. We're going to work together. Utah Defense Alliance keeps a really, really cohesive sort of network of decision-making going on. So we're all in lockstep. Look, there's 12% of Utah's GDP comes down to defense. But not only is it a huge economic impact, we have deployments going to every hotspot in the country, or in the world right now. We've got deployments that are in the European and Middle East theater, and preparation going on for a potential near peer conflict with China in the South Pacific. So it's not only, that's where it gets a little emotional for me is what they're doing to defend our country, and making sure that we have global stability, and the fact that we're putting our F-35s, all over the world, and our airmen are putting themselves in that dangerous theater is part that kind of keeps me going. So yes, economic impact, no question, but that's the stuff that you fight for every single day to make sure we have what they need.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. What a great honor to have a congressman with us. I can think of it.
Me from I was a kid. It's not that big of
It's an honor. It's great to, well, let me put it to you this way. I've been sitting here nearly 8 years. And I think this is the second time we've had the congressman on the dais. So we really appreciate you having me.
Love it.
Thank you. All right. With that, though, and I know your schedule's busy, but you're welcome to stay or do whatever you need.
I think we have a briefing here at 11, so I'm good to just hang.
Just
ignore me. What do you need to?
We're not. I'm probably not going to call on you.
That's okay.
Does he get a vote up here?
No.
No.
No. No. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number G on our agenda. There are the consent items, and the first one is a request for approval of warrants 102, 187 through and including 102, 249 and 484, 731 through and including 484, 907 and 365 in the amount of $2,615,194.06. Item 2 is a request for approval of summary purchase orders in the amount of $83,911.37. Item 3 is summary of warrants and purchase orders. Item 4 is a request for the approval of the ACH Payments Designs Bank in the amount of $265,295.12. And then we'll move on to Mr. Ricky Hatch for just a brief description on some of the detail on that. Mr. Hatch, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple highlights of the higher dollar and percentage expenditures from this week's transactions. We issued 10 purchase orders for $84,000. 37% of that amount, or $31,000, is for the transfer station that will go towards equipment repairs, fuel, and some groundwater monitoring. 30%, or $25,000, is related to the Children's Justice Center construction. 13%, or $11,000, is for the library to purchase laptops and equipment, and 12%, or $10,000, is for the roads department to pay for repairs and parts. As far as warrants, we issued 241 payments this week for $2.6 million. Just under a quarter of that amount, $623,000, was passed through American Rescue Plan Act grants to Osprey Ranch. And then we had two items at 15%, $390,000. One went to various ramp awards throughout the county. And then the second one was pass-through road construction on 17th Street and 12th West in Marriott Slaterville. And those are the WACOG transportation dollars that are paid for that. And then lastly, 9%, or $224,000, was a payment to our financial software maintenance of our financial system.
Very good. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Hatch?
None for me.
Hearing none, I'll proceed on with item number 5, which is a request for approval of the minutes for the meeting held on June 11th, 2024. Item 6, a request for the Weber County operations for approval to surplus 15 vehicles. Item 7 is a request for approval of a retirement agreement by and between Weber County and Weston Voth. Item 8 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Utah Holstein Association to hold the Weber County Dairy Days event at the Golden Spike Event Center. Item 9 is a request for approval of the right-of-way contract by and between Weber County and Smith Rental to purchase the right-of-way along 2550 South Corridor Preservation. And item 10 is a request for approval of an agreement or amendment to a contract by and between Weber County and USDA, or the NRCS, to hire a consultant to prepare a watershed shed for the Utah Dam. This revision includes additional funds for to select a consultant. Now, Commissioners, these are the notes, but I do have one question. And Emily, if you'll come forward for just real quick on this retirement agreement, going over that, it shows that Mr. Voss is to be referred to as Campbell. Is that just it? I didn't understand that. the first line it says his name, but you get down there and it's referred to as Campbell. Is that just a misprint?
Let me look that up really quick, if that's okay.
It's okay. Commissioners, before I entertain a vote for those consent items, why don't you, Em, if you could look that up, and we'll come back to that in a few minutes, if that's okay, Ms. Wild.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, with your permission, I'll come back to the consent items unless there's any other questions.
Good.
Hearing none, we'll wait for Ms. Wild's report so we can take care of those and pay the bills. But we will come back to that. To be expeditious with our agenda, we'll move on to item number H on our agenda. Item number 1, and we'll ask Ashley to come forward at this time, is a request for approval of the contract by and between Weber County and Franson Civil Engineers for the supplemental watershed plan for the environmental assessment. Ashley Tolman, go ahead, please, sir.
Hey, thank you, Commissioners. Just also a little note on consent item 10. That was a little confusing there. It should be watershed plan instead of watershed shed.
Thank you.
Apologize for that. And this item's related to that. This item, this contract before you is an agreement between Weber County and the consultant that will be doing the work on this watershed plan, which is Franson Civil Engineering. And this is a grant through USDA NRCS to fund this plan. And so it is before you for your approval.
In your portfolio, Commissioner Farrar, any questions or comments on that?
Just a question, Ashley. So this still has to do with Utah, correct?
Correct.
And this is the same, this is the company just approving the contract?
Yeah, so in the consent items, you were approving in addition to the contract we have or the grant that we're receiving from NRCS. And this is the actual contract to use those funds to get the work done on the Utah.
Just wanted to be clear on that. No other questions, Mr. Chair?
Thank you. Chair, Mr. Crockett, do we have to have the consent items approved before we can hear this action item number 1?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Polos, any comments or
No,
questions?
no.
Entertain a motion for item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move to approve the contract by and between Weber County and Franson Civil Engineers for supplemental watershed plan and environmental assessment. That would be for the contract.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 2 is a request for approval of a resolution. Resolution number 32-2024. Of the County Commissioners of Weber County appointing one member to the Weber County Library Board. Now, Commissioners, as sitting on that board, we met with the board and several names were given to the board. The board considered those. They do, based on experience and a host of other things, they rate them. And the order by which the board has submitted those to us is Caitlin Gochner is their first choice, Sylvia Newman, their second choice, and Charlie Trentleman, their third choice, in that order. There were some other applicants, but they didn't feel it was necessary in as much as there's just one position available. But they're hoping that obviously their first choice is considered first, and that would be my recommendation in the presentation. Any questions for me?
None. I appreciate the recommendation from the board.
Yes. Then I'll entertain, if there are no other questions, entertain a motion.
Move to approve Resolution 32-2024, appointing Caitlin Gochner to the Weber County Library Board.
And I'd second that with a comment.
Please.
All 3 recommendations are good, but I think Caitlin, for her past community service, would be great on that board. So I fully support that.
That'd be great. Wonderful. Well, we've got that, in as much as that's the case, I'll place that motion for vote. Mr. Brandt for 32-2024.
Roll call vote for Resolution 32-2024. Commissioner Farrar.
Aye.
Commissioner Bolos.
Aye.
Chair Harvey.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. It's unanimous. Item number 3 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Known to You for vendor data exchange. Emily Wild, our Director, Human Resources, come on. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. So just on your question on the retirement contract, I did find out the Campbell was a mistake. It is Weston Voth that is retiring.
Okay.
So
We'll note that in a minute.
And,
Thank you.
and we'll send a new contract over, removing Campbell from that. So that was just a mistake on the contract.
No problem. Thank you. Let's go ahead and hear then your presentation for item H3 for the known to you.
Okay, thank you. So this is a contract who we would like to set up as a data exchange contractor with Weber County and Known to You. They will help take the data from our Oracle HRIS system and send it to our benefit vendors, Source Select Health, MetLife, those vendors. So these files that have to go over to our benefit vendors on a weekly basis, and they're very technical. They're very specific in the format and the information that needs to be on these files. And so this contract, this vendor will help us make sure that the information is getting over to our benefit vendors timely and accurately so that it doesn't disrupt the employees from being enrolled on their benefit plans.
Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Wild?
That's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Commissioner Bolos, and as much as this is in your portfolio, questions or comments?
No questions. You ready for a motion?
Roar, any
No
comments,
questions.
questions?
No.
I will entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the contract by and between Weaver County and Known to You for vendor data exchange as presented by Ms. Wild.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Wild.
Appreciate it.
Ms. Ebert, if you'd make your way forward, this is item 4, Commissioners, is a request for approval to certify the tax rates for 2024. Ms. Ebert, you've come before us in work sessions and other things. Your work is perfect. Can you make that make this public now, and so we can take care of this?
Yes, sir. I'm here this morning to present to you the 2024 property tax rates. Since the first of the year, the assessor's office has been working to value the properties in Weber County, and they have submitted those values to us, and we have uploaded those to the state's tax rate system. And the state has then turned around and presented to us a certified tax rate. Now, if you recall, back in November of 2023, because we are a calendar year entity, which means that our budget runs from January to December, we are tasked with going through truth and taxation in the fall if we intend on raising taxes in the following year, which would be 2024. And so we did hold a public hearing on November 28th, 2023, and elected to increase those property tax rates. And so I am here today to present and ask for your certification for those proposed tax rates for the entities that you are in charge of approving for 2024.
Very good. Thank you. Questions for Ms. Ebert? Commissioner Farrar?
None for me.
Commissioner Bolos?
None.
Then the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the certified tax rates as presented by Ms. Ebert this morning.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Placing that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, Commissioners, we'll have you turn the page back over. We'll go back to our consent items, G1 through and including 10, noting item number 7, Weston Voss. That will be that contract will be revised so that Campbell won't be in there. It'll say Voss. And then item number 10 is a watershed plan, not a watershed shed. Okay, those two changes. Any questions? Or if not, then we'll place that. I'll look for a motion for that.
Move to approve consent items G1 through 10 with the changes as noted.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioners. Item G is now approved. Now we'll go into a public hearing. Item number 1 is a request for a motion to adjourn the public meeting and convene a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and as much, we'll place that as a roll call vote. Mr. Brandt?
Roll call vote to enter public hearing. Commissioner Farrar?
Aye.
Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Chair Harvey?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Brandt. Item number 2 is a public hearing to discuss amendments to the operating and capital budget of Weber County for the 2024 calendar year. Ms. Ebert?
Okay, so as I just mentioned in my last item on the agenda, the county has a budget that runs for the calendar year, January to December, and we approved that budget in December of the previous year. And so that leads to sometimes we have occasions where we need to go in and amend our budget for the year as certain items come up. And so this, we have elected to do those amendments typically on a quarterly basis. And I have the amendments that we have presented to you in a work session last week for the second quarter. And I'm just asking for you to approve or consider approval of these budget amendments.
Great. Thank you very much, Ms. Ebert. That would be work session for the 10th of June, 2024, for those who'd like to go back and look at that. Commissioners, that's the presentation. Any questions for Ms. Ebert at this time? Commissioner Farrar?
None for me, thanks.
Commissioner Bowles? Now's the time for our public to make comments limited to 3 minutes on that particular capital budget for 2024 calendar year. Any in the public that would like to comment? Seeing none, I'll go to the online. Stacy? Fiscally with the top 2% of all counties in the United States right here because of this pool of employees, this family of employees. They all care, and this is a very fiscally responsible county. It enjoys some of the highest rates, certainly in Utah, but around the whole United States. Very, very good. So we just, we like to beat that village drum all we can because it's very good. So. All right, commissioners, nothing more. Then I'll entertain a motion for item K.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned.